On today's Minute of the Apes, Todd can't get his shit together when people shove alcohol in his face.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
You're the keepers of the divine bounty.
The only good human is a dead human! Where there is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd, and Sean is busting me in the balls because we had already done this once. We're playing catch up because we got behind from some logistical issues of just trying to schedule. And I'll say this right up front to those of you who are so nice to worry about us, everything's fine. It was just it was the fact that three people could not make their schedules coincide.
Yeah.
But I want to
We
bring
do a
up
pretty good job of having buffer built in, but just pandemics and whatnot kind of ate into that.
Yeah, so that's why we're actually going back to Zoom, because even though we could make our schedules coincide today, we could not probably make it happen. We're all in the same room, with the hope of what Sean had teased and you didn't get to hear is the fact that when we record this is going up tonight. What you're hearing was recorded just probably hours before you're going to listen to it. So,
oh wow, this is going up tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how tight it was.
Yeah, I'm going to post this tonight, and then I'm going to be ready to post tomorrow, and then I guess we'll do our little logistical stuff. We're getting together this weekend, I would assume, to record some more.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll be back on schedule, but there it is. That's why we had a little bit of a stumble. That may be the first time, I think, through 5 movies, though, that we've had a bust down and say, hey, we don't have episodes built up enough to release.
We've met the weekly requirement, except for this one time,
Yeah.
It's going live tonight. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then I also told the guys that
so we could talk about current news, and they would totally...
Yeah, it'd be very current, yes.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, too, now we're also up against it. How many more minutes do we have left, Sean?
After this, we will have 17 minutes.
And so we have to finish 17 minutes. I got to move my kid to Colorado in 2 weeks, and so we got to cram all this stuff in and get back on schedule. I think we can do it. Can we do it?
I think we can do it.
I don't know. Richard's such a prima donna. Can we get him to actually have his schedule?
You know me.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
I'll be in my trailer when you guys figure this out.
Wow. In fact, this is so real time. I'm going to name this episode in my trailer. There, I made the note for that, so that's officially named that. All right, so are we ready to talk some?
Fetch me when you're ready. Let's go.
Are we ready to talk apes? And get this ball rolling.
Yep.
Okay, Sean, tell us what's going on minute 66.
All right, we're going to start minute 66 with Culp saying to start the bombardment, and ends with humans in cages, gorillas as guards. Is this a madhouse?
All right, here comes minute 66, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Start the bombardment! Men and equipment out of the bus! Deploy your weapons quickly! All is in order, sir. All right, let's go.
He said they hurt him. Who? Who would hurt him?
I think you'll have your answer, and soon.
What do you know?
That's what I know.
As minute 66, we have a village worth of apes and humans, plus a ghost city worth of radioactive people, and no Ricky.
So to give a quick visual wrap up, we get to see Culp talking his subordinate going away and leading back to the community bus system, the most generic name that's ever been put on the side of a school bus. We have people coming out of said school bus. Culp gets in his Jeep and moves forward And then we get a bunch of stuff within Caesar's hut. And then we get a bunch of stuff at a stockade. So shots like that. I want to start by, I know, Sean, you defined what Culp said, but I want to play the minute again because I literally did not turn on captions, and until you told me what he said, all I thought he said was stubba dubba bubba. Stubba bubba.
Start the bombardment.
It sounds like gibberish to me. One more time.
Start the bombardment.
Bababa. Stop bababa.
Find me La Bamba.
All right, so we get a minute with the mutants basically pushing in. We get a bit of contemplation with Caesar. The biggest thing for me is once again how this doesn't feel like a threat. We have mutants in the open, and we have people just sort of sitting around.
Yeah, I mean, whenever he's telling people to hurry, just seeing 2 people, 3 people in the background running off a bus doesn't give any sense of urgency. And then the fact that Culp can just wave his hand forward and everybody knows what to do automatically without being told that he wants to, the city burned to the ground and he wants to piss on their graves and all that kind of stuff. They don't know that.
Well, so none of this is really in the script. They're just kind of the screenwriters kind of wrote out some general action that is kind of supposed to happen, and of course the editors are coming back in and moving things around here and there. So this whole dialogue wasn't really put in the script anywhere. We don't pick up the dialogue for this moment until we have Caesar say who would hurt him. So everything sounds a little weird. I mean, even you mentioned Culp's start the mama, but he also, when the captain comes out and says all is in order, he says, all right, let's go. But he says it almost walking over the line of the captain, right? Because they're trying to speed through it real quick.
Yeah.
All is in order. All right, let's go. I'm like, whoa, what's happening here? It was like sounded like those mutants on the march. He suddenly became that character that Sean does.
That's
all
very
right, let's
true.
Go. Start the bombardment now. Yeah, and to your point, Sean, there's like 2 or 3 people kind of saunter out of the school bus.
Uh-huh.
And then they set up their mortars, but all of a sudden they're like not mutants anymore. They're sitting up really quickly. Like nobody's sick. Like,
Nobody's tired anymore. Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, they suddenly were all excited about setting up the mortars and the smoke screen shit and all that stuff. It happened really quickly. And then we go quiet again. We go back to Caesar's.
You also get Culp as a casual Hitler in the later days where he does the really, Sig Heil. His is just a little hand flap. That's his. Let's go fight now. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. You're right. He does that. He does that kind of whoa over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in this minute, he's sitting back down in the Jeep again, and all I can think is that half of his ass is hanging out.
Still, because I can't.
Yeah. Well, and he does the binoculars things too, right? He pulls out the 2 binoculars, but then they do it like makes it like it's 2 kind of morphed into 1 image thing when it doesn't matter.
I know that anytime I've ever tried to hold binoculars, even when I walk, that's like, you can't get a perspective on it. And here his big old booty is sitting in that thing. He's got glasses and it's not making a complete contact.
Not against his eyes. And they do the film trope of, if you actually look through binoculars, it looks like 1 circle. But they do the film trope of showing 2 circles.
Right.
To cut out.
Exactly. That was what was my point. Plus, he's looking at it through rose-colored goggles.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So we should have the same we should have the same rose-colored hue when we see his perspective on what he's looking at. And honestly, they look so freaking far away from the city. I'm not sure why they would set up their mortars that far away.
Well, they're not going to be able to tear down every tree with that mortar set up. Come on.
No. Those little teeny tiny ones that look like stadium chairs that you bring to down to the stadium and hang out at. Anyway, so sorry.
Well, so then we go inside. Really, we get a succession of things like that where they're trying to build the tension that they're moving in on Ape City, and then we go inside Caesar's hut to have he and Virgil contemplating who attacked Cornelius.
Well, real quick, what is when they cut to Culp's view through the binoculars?
Yeah.
What are they trying to show us? Is that supposed to be the barricade?
I think so.
I honestly thought that there was, you say building tension. It felt like there was a lot of action on the mutant side and nothing on the gorilla side to make me think, oh, okay.
Well, it's funny.
Going on. This is why we're going to be excited as mutants right now because we're, I don't know, approaching an encampment. I mean,
it's funny you say that because I think that once it cuts inside of the hut,
Caesar's house,
it literally neuters any tension because it's one thing to have that thing we've talked about 1,000 times before that the audience is aware of more than what the
the ticking
characters are.
bomb
Yeah,
under
the
the
ticking
table.
bomb is
Yeah.
there, whatever it may be, the strangers on the train type thing. This is not even, there's no tension to it because they're so in the open. They're just approaching. They're blasé. We know we've locked some humans in a corral. And it just cuts to this and it stays so flat that
They really could have. They really could have moved. They really could have stayed with Caesar, and the death of Cornelius, and him finding out, who somebody's involved, what's happening. Let's go outside, see what's happening. Oh, we'll talk about it next month. But we switched the encampment at the end of this. They could have done all that first and then moved the mutant showing up a second or two later. We can talk about it on like Wednesday, I think.
And okay, so let's talk about moving things because I even get to this point once this stair-stepped conversation that just who would hurt him. That's what I want to know. It's these little, and it's pop, 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 and you go outside for this shot that starts with the corral and goes down to the apes. I mean, this is such a nitpicky thing, I know, but I feel like there would have been more immediacy, more conflict had it started with the apes, through the gorillas with guns, because that's been the big thing is the gorillas seizing the guns.
They finally got the power.
Yeah, and they're showing the aggression, and that also would lead to who might have hurt him. So start with the gorillas with guns, then push to the apes. I know that's a small flip, but it would have just said what the tension is, and we don't get the payoff.
We get the who hurt them. What do you know? That's what I know, and it's an aerial view down on the encampment.
Right.
It's not even like from Caesar's perspective of what he's seeing. He's not floating up above the clouds and pushing down onto the encampment of people. You're right. We needed to see something a little more tense. We needed to see a gorilla with a gun. We needed to see a gorilla with a gun with the child's face behind in the cage, or something, or the encampment, something all at once. The other thing is, who would hurt him? And Virgil says, "I think you'll have your answer soon enough." Caesar goes, "What do you know?" I think, didn't the script originally say Virgil was supposed to see the broken branch, but they led with McDonald? So this line doesn't make sense for Virgil to know something more other than you should just be angry.
Well, but again, if we had cut to the moment of the gorillas with guns first, Virgil does know that. Virgil does know what's happened there, and therefore that would be information he'd have. And I think that it's even more pertinent to the conversation of who would hurt him had we seen that the gorillas have done this. He's put it together. He's saying this is what's happened. And this would have been a great place, actually, if you want to put that great shot of Aldo with the gorillas holding up their bayonets. I know that was for We Want Guns, but that would have been an incredibly powerful shot right here to have them stopping them with arms and holding off, and we know something has changed. But instead, we get that very listless pullback from the, in fact, the humans inside the corral are just sort of gathered.
Yeah.
Some of them with
you
their
can
back
see
turned.
McDonald standing there with his hand in his pockets.
Right.
This scene does one of the movie cliches that, if you think about it, or TV cliches even, if you think about it, makes no sense. Where Virgil goes, "Well, what do I know?" And then they cut to him finishing his sentence when he's miles/minutes away from when he began speaking it. So can you imagine? He goes, "What do you know?" "This is what I know." And then they have to sneak out. They have to say goodbye to Lisa. They have to get past all the gorilla guards. They have to get up to the thing. And then he continues with a sentence that he started 5 minutes ago. "That's what I know." Oh, wait. We're still talking about that? I thought we were talking.
Virgil's basically supposed to point out the window to the chaos that's happening outside. Virgil, shocked by Caesar's violence, shakes his head, points behind them down the street. "That's what I know."
Well, okay, to this
That's
point,
still unexciting.
I'd never thought of it before, but okay, Virgil's coming from seeing the gorilla seize control and power. While he's in there with Cornelius, with Caesar, should he not be a little sweaty or worked up? He's seen things. He should be upset and worried. Maybe instead of taking him down to the corral, maybe it's looking out that window of the hut, and that's where they see the gorillas walking around with weapons or something. But he seems very nonplussed by the information he just got a couple minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is a decent description. Virgil says, that's what I know. Camera's point of view, long shot, the corral. The shot should, in some vague way, make one think of a concentration camp. At the gate, we see Aldo and a number of Aldo's elite troops. Standing guard, automatic weapons cradled in their arms, black uniforms and boots, legs spread wide. Behind them, we see humans standing against the wire, looking out hopelessly. Camera zooms